I'm Brett, and I've developed a new, simple, modern spiritual philosophy. And in this series of videos, I'd like to tell you all about it. So stay tuned, and if you like what you're hearing, tell other people about it, comment, ask me questions, and we'll go forward from there. Thank you very much. Hi, and welcome back to You Know Yourself with me, Brett. And I'm going to be continuing to scrutinize some ideas, and this episode might be a little bit sort of like or connected to the previous episode, which on reflection is the previous episode was kind of more to do with how some of the core material might be received. This one is more to do with how the core material is being put out. And I don't mean the methodology, I mean the intent behind it, which was touched in the previous episode. I get that. So if you're binging these and going from one to another immediately, then apologies. You might be hearing concepts that are kind of similar, but are going to be hopefully a little bit subtly different. So this concept, this idea that I'm going to be sort of critiquing and scrutinizing, and again trying to make clear and trying to state, if it hasn't been stated already, the idea for this episode is that is there a difference between describing something and prescribing something, and where does you know yourself fit in those distinctions? So let's see if we can describe. Let's see if we can explain those distinctions and the difference between describing something and prescribing something. And perhaps in this context, the difference is the either said or the implied should. Perhaps prescribing something implies or even says outright a sort of should element to it. Here's something I'm telling you to do and you should do it. Whereas a description or a describing might be, here is something and that's it. Here is something and there you go. Whereas prescribing is, here is something and you should do something about that now. And you should act differently. You should take it on board. You should act accordingly. So this isn't necessarily to do with how the core material of You Know Yourself is received. It's to do with how am I pushing it out. What am I doing? Am I describing something or prescribing something? So let's look at the two different cases for this, because I can't deny. So let's start with the idea that I'm prescribing something, because I can't deny that by me formulating these ideas and communicating them in whatever way, because this is the modern era, so of course I'm not doing a book, I'm doing a podcast, I'm doing videos to go out on social media, I'm using the internet and all its infinite different ways for me to publish things. But by doing that, by solidifying the ideas, by going, here are some core ideas that I'm putting forward, there is an implication. Of course there is an implication that I think they're right. It doesn't matter how many times I say these are for you to work with and for you to discover or not, whether you think they're right for you or whether there's some validity to them. It doesn't matter how many times I say that. The simple idea that I have formulated them and almost sort of fixed them by putting them out, by publishing them in some way, implies that there's some sort of validity to them. And by me describing something, there's an element of prescribing to it, because as soon as I describe one thing, by implication, I've described the opposite to it. So, for example, if I'm describing the idea that the cycle of disempowerment disempowers you, and that it is, and that the cycle of disempowerment has atrophied your abilities to do, understand, feel your feelings, and to choose, then of course, by describing that, I'm through implication describing the counterpoint, which is therefore free yourself from the disempowerment by exercising your body, mind, soul, and spirit, your doing, understanding, feelings, and choices. And that becomes a prescription to you. That becomes something I'm telling you that you should do. You should do this. If you want to be free of what I'm describing, you should do this. Whether I like it or not. Because that is not, there kind of isn't a should. But again, it doesn't matter how much I say that, there is an implication of a should, whether I like it or not. And I don't like it. And it exists, and it's real, and I can't deny it. I can't deny that there is a should element, or it could be easily interpreted as a should element, whether I say should or not. Whether I say it or not, the implication is, here's the cycle of disempowerment. You should free yourself from the cycle of disempowerment. Here's your body, mind, soul, and spirit, which you're not exercising. You should exercise them. Of course, there's an irony that what I'm describing, the cycle of disempowerment, is that because the leaders very much give a prescription, you should go to school, you should use the NHS, you should do as the police tell you to do, you should do what we tell you to do as the leaders. Because that cycle of disempowerment includes the wellness industry and the spiritual gurus. You should do your meditation. You should do your breathing exercises. You should do this, that, and the other. Which then disempowers you because they're not saying there's a possibility you could do this. You look into it and see you should do this because I know better than you, because you're not enough to know the answer. You should do this because I'm the significant one, and you as the follower have to you're not the significant one. You're not the source of all your information. Someone else is. And you should do this because it is the one and only fixed, right, correct answer, and it will always be the answer. All right? That's what the cycle of disempowerment does. That's what the cycle of disempowerment is. It's the leaders telling you what you should do, creating the institutes and concepts around those answers of what you should do, which then disempowers you by creating the three critical mass thoughts within the follower base, because so many implications are made to the followers that they end up believing that they're not enough, that someone else, something other, and someone else, the other, is more significant, is the thing, and that it's all fixed and finite. It's only this answer, and it will always be this answer. Which then, because the followers go around in that mindset, they suffer from that and need more answers to get rid of their suffering. And a lot of that is brought around by by the prescription of what it is you should be doing. The leaders prescribe to you what you should be doing. And we're used to that concept, and we're used to that idea. And that's how we exist, or that's how we have been trained to, or that's how we've ended up existing, because of the familiarity that we have with those ideas, with that paradigm. And so anything I present any core ideas in you know yourself could very easily be seen as a prescription. You should free yourself from the cycle of disempowerment. You should be exercising your body, mind, soul, and spirit. And because I'm repeating them and because I keep coming back to them, they sound very much like a prescription, because there's the implication that they are correct. There's the implication that what I'm saying has validity to it. And I know that that exists, whether I like it or not. And as I say, I don't like it. I wish it wasn't like that. But there's nothing I can do about it. I could acknowledge that and acknowledge that it exists, or I could try and be in denial about it. But it does exist. It does exist. It does exist that me putting forward those ideas has an element of should to it. Putting forward the idea that the cycle of disempowerment exists. This is how it exists. This is how it exists. This is how it works. This is its basic fundamental build-up. You as a human being exist. This is your basic fundamental build-up, and you should take on that information. You should act accordingly from it, and you should take on the implications of exercising your body, mind, soul, and spirit to free yourself from the cycle of disempowerment. And maybe it might even sound like, and therefore it should bring about this outcome. I don't know. But I do know that exists. And I have to acknowledge that, and I have to wrestle with that. And maybe that's part of why I'm doing this particular episode, to acknowledge that and to say, yeah, I can hear that. I can totally hear that. But what's the counterpoint of view? What's the counterpoint of view that says, no, this is just a description? As discussed in previous episodes, these are just observations I'm making. I'm trying to point at something. I'm trying to point at something and go, this is what I think I see. What I think I see is that leaders exist, they give you the answer, the blah, 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 the rest of the cycle of disempowerment. What I think exists is that the human being is made up of a body, mind, soul, and spirit, and blah, blah, blah from that. All of which is explained in previous videos. I'm trying to point at that. Why am I trying to point at that? Because I don't think it's pointed at. I don't think it's acknowledged. I don't think it's seen. I don't think it's something that's talked about. I don't think it's encouraged. And by pointing at it, am I saying you should do something about it? I think by pointing at it, I think what I'm really trying to say is you have the freedom and the possibility to do something about it if you want to. I'm also saying I don't think many of us are doing anything about it because the cycle of disempowerment is working so well. We feel disempowered to do anything about exercising our own body, mind, soul, and spirit. Those are, even the basic level of exercising your body is seen as something that some people do and some people don't. That confuses me a little bit. It's like we have this incredible being, and it's like some sort of achievement that you choose to exercise it, when really there's a part of me that feels like, isn't that just using our body, going out and doing stuff and moving? Isn't that why we have it? I mean, like, it's not some sort of, like, to be awarded because you choose to go and exercise. It's like awarding somebody because they breathe. That's what we do, isn't it? Like, that's a standard, isn't it? Now, even that has an element. So, am I implying that you should be going out and using your body? I get it. I hear it. I really hear it. Yes, it does. It implies that. It does. It does. And so, whether I like it or not, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say now. That implication will be stronger and will resonate with you more than even if I just say outright, no, I'm not saying you should do anything. I'm saying you have the possibility of doing those things, and you have the freedom and the choice to do those things. Are you aware that you've got the choice to do those things? And are you aware that everything is a choice? So by you choosing not to do those things, you're choosing to do the opposite of those. Not choosing to do something is still a choice, and quite often it's the choice to do the opposite then, isn't it? Or it's a choice to do some other things. If I choose not to move my body, then I'm making the choice to not exercise it. I'm making the choice to allow it to atrophy. If I'm not using my understanding, if I'm not grappling with things, if I'm not, according to my paradigm, if I'm not engaging with language on a conscious level and making sure that I engage with language, which is what I believe we gave ourselves to exercise our understanding, so that our understanding can be strong so we can apply it to other things. If I choose not to do, if I'm not doing that, then I'm choosing to atrophy my ability to understand and to allow it to grow weak. So the argument for I am just describing is that I am stating outright there are no shoulds. You shouldn't. I'm not saying you should exercise your body, mind, soul, and spirit. I'm not saying you should. I'm not. Oh, well, I am. Okay. Am I saying you should be aware of the cycle of disempowerment? I think what I'm saying is, here is the cycle of disempowerment. Do what you want with that information. Should you be aware of it? Wow. I'm trying every way I can to get around saying you should be aware of it. So, example, that one argument I'm coming up with in my head is, not being aware of it hasn't really got us very far, has it? I mean, we're living in this society full of war, food to feed everyone, but still famine, poverty, suffering. Not being aware of it hasn't really got us very far, has it? We've got people who are not particularly very healthy, not particularly very engaged with their understanding, not particularly very engaged with their own feelings, and don't appear to be making a lot of conscious choices. So not being aware of it hasn't really got us very far. Perhaps the counterpoint to that is true. Perhaps being aware of it might get us further as a society and as individuals. Perhaps it won't. I think that's one of the things I am willing to say, which prescriptions don't say. And as said in a previous episode and maybe other episodes, this is material for you to engage with. I am giving you the description for you to engage with. There isn't a should. It's not like I'm giving you this description, so now you should do something with it. It's up to you what you do with it. It's up to you what you make of it. It's up to you whether or not you engage with it in some way or implement some element of it in your life in some way. I'm not even telling you how to implement some element of it, although I kind of am, because I'm suggesting that we should exercise our body, mind, soul, and spirit. There you go. I even said the word should there. Okay. Right, well then maybe it's time to get to the resolve of this, which is that there is an element of both, whether I like it or not. And I have to I have to own that. Yeah. And I don't like that because that puts me in the same sort of category as the leaders and telling you what to do and disempowering you, which is not what I want to do. And it makes me part of the problem. I would state perhaps it's a bit of 50-50 because although the should implications are there, I am saying outright, you don't have to do a goddamn thing with the material that I'm giving you. You don't have to do a single thing with anything I'm describing to you. That is entirely up to you what you do with it. There is actually no should. I am saying outright at the moment that perhaps the cycle of disempowerment and perhaps the disempowered people within society have created the society that we have at the moment. And I'm putting forth for question the idea, therefore, if we change that, would that bring about a different sort of society and a different sort of empowered person? I'm bringing that forward as a question. I'm not telling you for certain that it would do that, and I certainly don't know what type of society it would bring about or what type of person it would bring about. So there's no should in terms of if you do this, you should end up like this, or you should do this so that you end up like this. We should exercise our body, mind, and spirit so that we end up with a particular type of society at the end. I can't get away from the idea that I can protest all I like that these are just descriptions. There is a certain element of prescription behind it. But not with a fixed outcome. and not that you absolutely and it not with a not I'm not dependent on you doing it. There is a subtly implied prescription. It might be useful to you to exercise your body, mind, soul, and spirit. But do you know what? It's not that you should do that. It's that it might be helpful to you. If you don't think that's helpful to you, don't do it. If you don't think that's what you want or need, or you don't think that's what's helpful to society, don't do it. If there is a prescription, you should be aware of the cycle of disempowerment and the idea that leaders, as well intentioned as they might be, leaders from political leaders all the way through to the spiritual gurus, as well intentioned as they might be, they actually end up just disempowering their followers. Right? You should be aware of that. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm simply describing that as well intentioned as leaders might be, from the political through to the spiritual guru, by implying that they have the one and only answer and all the other mechanisms that I've described in the cycle of disempowerment, they actually just end up disempowering their followers. I'm describing that to you. You might look at that description, look at what I'm talking about and go, no, I don't think it is that way. Totally fine. It's not that you should take it on. It's not that you should believe me. It's not that you should just go with these ideas without scrutinizing them and critiquing them yourself. I'm putting forward a description for you to scrutinize and to see what you come up with out the other end of it. So I can't give a clear answer as to whether or not the core ideas of you know yourself are describing or prescribing, because as much as I don't like it, there is an element of prescription in there, isn't there? Of course there is. And despite how much I say outright, there's no shoulds, you don't have to do anything, there is an implication of of exercising your body, mind, soul, and spirit. Despite how much I say that is a possibility, you don't have to do it. Just, are you aware that there's even a possibility? But even asking, are you aware of that? I'm implying you should be aware of it. So I get that. I get that. My intent might be to describe, but it might be received as a prescription. It might be received as something I'm telling you to do. I can't control that. I want to. I want to control how you receive it, but I can't. So I can tell you that it's my intent to just describe it to you and leave you free, because I believe in the empowered human being with their own sense of doing, understanding, feeling, and choice. I can leave you free to do what you want with what I'm describing to you. So if you're looking for a clear answer on this, you may not be getting it. I'm looking for a clear answer on this, and I'm not getting it, and hence why I'm having to kind of sit with this and realise, yeah, no, there is no clear answer to this, is there? Whether I like it or not, there's an element of prescription, despite how much I'm protesting that I'm only describing something to you. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got this far, another longer one. If these lectures, episodes, podcasts are interesting to you, and you think other people might find them interesting, then please do share them and let them know about it. And I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.